I wanted to lose weight, so I started weighing myself every day on the scale. And
which caused an amplification of the vibration of where you now are.
yes,
Which made you less able to move to something different.
yes. So rather than every day, I moved it to every week.
So you only resisted on a weekly basis.
Yes. And I discovered I really liked how I was losing weight between weighing, and was so disappointed at the numbers because I felt thinner. Winning. I liked my body, but the scale measured me as almost a failure for the small amount given the effort involved.
That's what we're talking about using anything outside of the way you feel. There are many people who want the outside measurement because it motivates them to action. But we are wanting you to find the inspired action that comes forth from within. Here is the thing that is so interesting about watching people who are wanting to reduce their body weight. Almost without exception, you are unhappy with yourself the way you are. And so many things in your day amplify that vibration. Before you can become what you want to become, you've got to become in love with what you are. In other words, you just can't say, I don't like this about me, and change it. Because as you say, I don't like this about me, you keep it active and alive within you. You've got to fall in love with your body. And when you fall in love with your body, it will please you. It will become all of the ideas that you've picked up along your physical trail.
I put my scale away. And
we'd like you to put away your comparison with your body with that body. We would like you to put away your conversations with friends about weight. We would like you to put away your strong concern about food. In other words, we want you to be sensitive to the way you feel on the subject and reach for feelings of relief. It's the feeling of relief that matters most, not the action. It's the feeling of relief.
Wait a minute. You mean I can not associate food with weight?
Well, look at it. There are a lot of people who look the way you think you would like to look, who don't have issues with food. And you say, well, they have a different metabolism. And we say, yes.
Okay.
Now, there are fireworks going off all over this room because it is such a big issue. It is something that so many have practiced for so long. You find this action that works for you, but then you get tired of it. And you find this action that works for you, and then you get tired of it. And what we're encouraging is that you once and for all find the action of adoring yourself. Find the action of thinking about your body or thinking about food and feeling good while you do it. Now, let's walk through this. Let's walk up the emotional meter about this. Now, we want to lay some groundwork here. You heard us when we said you're reaching for a feeling of relief. The feeling of relief is the key factor that is here. So let's say that you've just weighed and you weigh 20 pounds or 5 pounds or 100 pounds more than you want to weigh, and you're aware of where you are and you're aware of where you want to go. And you see it as a formidable distance. And then you say, now I'm going to pay attention to the way I feel. So then you notice someone who's slender and you realize that you are feeling very uncomfortable with them. You're watching them eating. They're eating obnoxiously. They apparently have no concern about what they're eating, and they're able to manage their weight, and you feel this negative emotion pulsing within you. Now, this is an opportunity for you to find some thoughts that give you relief. Not action, not a diet, not a food regimen, but some thoughts right here and now that feel better. And it only matters how they feel to you. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. So you're reaching for relief right then from your feeling of jealousy as you are comparing yourself with someone who looks, by your standard, better than you do. So you just try to say some words that give you relief. You say, well, their metabolism is different than mine, which is the reason you hate them, actually. And so that doesn't give you any relief. And then you say, well, they are probably conscientious about what they eat, and they're just pigging out right now in front of me, which doesn't give you any relief either. So you just keep reaching for something that gives you a little relief. So then you say, well, I'm going to eat just like they do. I'm going to eat just like they do, which really inflames your sense of resistance. That doesn't give you any relief. How often do you just give in and take the action of eating something that you told yourself you weren't going to eat, only to discover that the emotion went more negative than it did positive? You didn't feel greater relief. You felt greater resistance. So what we want to impart to you is that whether you're talking about action or whether you're talking about words or whether you're talking about thought, you're wanting to reach for the one that will give you the greatest sense of relief. So let's say that you're in a place where you could eat something and your cravings are there and you want to eat something that tastes good to you. And then you say to yourself, all right, now how am I going to feel if I do this? If I were to eat that, how would I feel? And you stop for a moment and you say, well, I'd be mad at myself. That's not a feeling of relief. That's intensifying it. Well, how would I feel if I don't eat that? Well, I might feel proud of myself for keeping my word to myself. In other words, there's no right or wrong in it. You've just got to find the relief. You might reach the place where you have been keeping your word to yourself and there's something before you that you want to eat, and you say, how would I feel if I ate that? And you might say, well, I think I could eat that and feel all right. I wouldn't feel so guilty because I've been doing very well. How do I feel? Would I feel better if I eat it or better if I don't? Sometimes in a social setting, it feels better to eat it. Sometimes it feels better not to. Only you know, and you'll get so good at this that you'll begin to discover that that's the secret that many people have that are in vibrational alignment with their own weight, with their own body, their relationship with food. They don't make such a big thing about it. They don't have this love-hate relationship with it. And you can realign the way you feel about everything. It's not about the action. It's about the way you feel within the action. But the underlying thing about all of this is, ask yourself, those of you who are in this process of wanting to reduce your body weight, when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing that comes to your mind as you step back into your body? I'm beautiful or something else? In other words, how are you feeling? Tracy, Esther and Jerry's daughter, brought them some pictures the other day that were taken several years ago. Tracy was a teenager, and Jerry and Esther were newly together. And as Esther looked at the pictures, she said, look how slender I am in that picture. And I remember thinking I was fat then, too. In other words, her physical condition never seemed to make much difference in the negative opinion that she had about her body weight. And this is what is at the heart of allowing all good things to come to you, whether it's dollars, whether it's lovers, whether it's the perfect condition, whether it's the perfect appearance. You've got to find a way to start loving yourself. You've got to get off this critical trail. And that's why we say you've got to stop comparing yourself to the variety. Do you see how different you are? That's like looking at a bouquet of flowers and proclaiming one more beautiful than the other, when they are each beautiful in their own way, and the combination of all makes the stunning, contrasting, glorious bouquet, you see. So you just got to stop comparing yourself to others and coming up with a negative feeling. You've got to stop pointing yourself out as the weed while the others are the beautiful flowers. You've got to start feeling beautiful. And when you do, then you'll be able to feel the thoughts and actions that are divergent from that.
That's wonderful. I can check out how I'm feeling about a particular food. That's doable. I can see how that would alter my relationship with food. I can do that with people or things. So doing it with food would only enhance the experience of eating anyway.
Well, we're going to say something odd to you. In the same way that we've encouraged people who are reaching for financial independence to take dollars out of the equation, we would encourage anyone who is wanting to reduce their body weight to take food out of the equation. And by that we mean just stop thinking about weight loss in terms of food just for a little while and start thinking in terms of the feeling of relief. Play with it for a little while and watch what happens. If you find yourself fussing about your body in some way and you stop in the middle of that and reach for a feeling of relief, it's going to go a long way. In other words, your holding to your unwanted weight is not about the food you're eating. It's about the vibration that is wrapped around the food that you're eating. It has to be that way. Otherwise, everybody that ate the same food would look the same way. You should be able to take somebody who weighs 120 pounds and somebody else that weighs 120 pounds and feed them the same amount of food and hold them in the same amount of activity, and you should get exactly equal weight gain, but you don't. And the reason you don't is because it isn't only about what they're eating. It is about the vibrational state of their being, you see. So, why is it possible for me to thrive in love or thrive in money, but to not thrive relative to bodily conditions? And we say, because you've picked up different things along your physical trail that are stuck in your craw. You continue to think the same thing. Somebody will say on a pretty regular basis, I'm stuck here. I've been stuck here at 140 pounds for as long as I can remember, no matter what I do. And we say, you're not stuck because things are always changing. They're just changing to the same thing over and over and over again. Whether it is financial conditions, whether it is relationships, different faces, different places, different situations, but same basic experience, because until you change the way you feel, you haven't changed anything about your point of attraction, you see. So we would stop hanging around with weight-conscious people. We would let those that are up close to you know that you want them to stay out of your business relative to this. We would say to anyone who was well-meaning, who was making comments, we would say, I don't want to hear it, so please don't be upset if you see my eyes glazing over as I ignore anything that you have to say about this topic, because I'm coming into alignment with who I am, and I'm working every moment of every day to reclaim my sense of worthiness and my sense of self-adoration. And as I reclaim it and hold it there, not on a scattered basis, but on a consistent basis, you will begin to see everything about my physical countenance reflecting the way that I've come to feel. Above all other things, this one is a little tricky because people look at you, and as they look at you, you think you know what they are thinking as they are looking at you. And what we would like you to do is just factor all of that out. Because they don't know. They don't know where you are in relationship to where you want to be. They don't know. They can't guide you. What else?
Well, I can do that with, say, finances. I used to think I had to work hard or be careful with what I wanted and trying hard to get it. And the more I develop my loving relationship with Source, the more entitled I am, the more I trust that Source wants me to have what I want and partners with me and my desire, and that receiving what I want is just a delight and a joy. So my relationship with receiving on that level is extraordinary. It just gives me great joy. It's like a treasure hunt every day when I see what's offered to me and that how loved I am.
You are always reaching for that feeling of connection to Source. And if for whatever reason you are not feeling it fully, then there are all kinds of different ways that you reach to fill that. But we think you're on the right track. The more you are reaching for that and consciously acknowledging it, then the more you will be able to receive all things that you're wanting. Yes.